Warby Parker, the eyewear company known for its affordable but still stylish frames, was founded in 2010 by then MBA students Neil Blumenthal and Dave Gilboa. The model differentiates itself from other brands like LensCrafters and Pearle Vision by focusing directly on the consumer experience and cutting out the middleman by designing and producing its own frames.
This category is called direct to consumer. And I think it absolutely could be called connect to consumer, because these brands have found a way to connect with their consumers, again, by making it a good experience or talking to them and treating them like they want to be treated. In fact, that's what Neil Blumenthal of Warby Parker said was one of the founding principles of his company. Interestingly, he and several classmates at Wharton Business School started as a class project, figuring they'd get class credit even if it didn't become a business.
That's Lawrence Ingrassia, former business editor and deputy managing editor at the New York Times and author of the book Billion Dollar Brand Club. He points to the company as a great example of a startup that turned the eyewear industry upside down. Instead of customers walking into a normal eyewear shop, Warby Parker offers a free home try-on program that ships 5 frames to the person's home for free, making the buying process more convenient and accessible to all. And as its success has spread, it strategically opened 90 retail shops, mainly in cities across the U.S., in order to grow brand recognition and allow online consumers the option to try on frames in person.
Many of these companies have realized that multi-channel, as it were, is a good way to go. So first of all, early on, they could not have afforded to do that. They couldn't have actually launched if they hadn't initially launched online. The fact is that today, 80 to 90% of all sales are still done in retail stores. That's certainly true of eyeglasses. Warby Parker, by the way, was one of the first to start opening some retail stores. And when they open a retail store, often they find in that same area, they find their online sales increase. And then you might say, huh? What is that? Well, it gives them a greater presence, kind of top of mind. People walk by a Warby Parker store and say, oh, these guys are for real.
And they definitely are a very real and growing presence today. Warby Parker, with its streamlined online interface and affordable prices, has proved to be superior in the eyes of many younger consumers and is now valued at around $1.7 billion. So, what's different today than in past decades that's allowing newer models like Warby Parker to thrive? Ingrassia points to the continuous rise of the online marketplace and free shipping frenzy.
If you think of what happened in consumer products in generally, is that the barriers to entry fell because you no longer had to have retail shelf space. You could introduce a product and sell it online. You no longer had to have a multi-million-dollar television advertising campaign. You could reach target customers via social media for thousands or tens of thousands of dollars.
These days, with some starting capital and a unique idea, entrepreneurship is more accessible than ever before. But that doesn't mean it's any easier to succeed.
Not all of these companies are going to be winners. These are startups. These are small business. Some of them will be billion-dollar brands. Many of them will be successful, but more modestly successful, and some will fail. That's not bad. That's kind of the way the market works. The best will survive.
And the best brands share many similarities in the way they do business in this new era of entrepreneurship. Many cut out the middleman by using a direct-to-consumer business model or start a subscription-based company such as Netflix or the pet product service Chewy that keeps customers coming back each month.
If you think about it, these products all have something in common. A lot of people long found them expensive or a hassle to buy or both. Who hasn't wondered why razor blades are so expensive and are often locked behind a counter in a glass case where you have to ask the clerk to open that up for you? Or when it comes to shopping for a mattress, is there a more miserable experience? And these companies started by unlikely bunch of entrepreneurs, many of them in their 20s and 30s. We're talking about Dollar Shave Club, Warby Parker, Casper, Third Love Bras. They came out of nowhere and outmaneuvered much bigger rivals by selling these products online, and some of them by subscription.
One of the subscription-based models is Dollar Shave Club, which has shifted hundreds of thousands of consumers away from big names like Procter & Gamble's Gillette brand. The startup was created in 2011 by Michael Dubin and boasts affordable razors and shaving products shipped free to your doorstep 4 times a year.
He really didn't know much about razors other than the fact what he didn't like about the razor buying experience. But that turned out to be an advantage, not a disadvantage, because that helped him think outside the box rather than do things the way that the big guys, Gillette, had always done them. And that's where he got the idea of doing a subscription. It was a combination with the idea, it's like, geez, these blades are awfully expensive, and they're a headache to buy. So like a lot of entrepreneurs, he came up with, there's a problem, how can I fix it? There's a need, how can I fill it? So again, the idea is kind of meet the customer where she or he is, rather than kind of the way that we want to do business. And it might be packaging, it might be marketing, but in the end, I think one of the essential things is customer experience, listening to customers.
Dollar Shave Club was one of the first subscription-based startups in the U.S. It wasn't a revolutionary idea, but rather a simple, well-executed model that gained a following by offering no-hassle access to an everyday necessity. In 2016, 5 years after starting Dollar Shave Club, Dubin sold the company to Unilever for $1 billion in cash. However, Ingrassia says it's not just the product that makes a company so successful, it's people's own perception of the brand that inflates its value. Many younger consumers want the companies they're buying from to also align with their values, whether that's through a company's transparency on social media, more inclusive advertising, or initiatives aimed at giving back. The beauty startup Glossier, another direct-to-consumer model, is now valued at $1.2 billion because it too filled a gap in the beauty industry for simple products at an affordable price. Over the last decade, it's shaped itself into being seen as authentic, minimalist, and modern, while some of its beauty competitors are viewed as stuffy, non-inclusive, and overpriced. Glossier is also a prime example of how to use physical retail pop-up stores to drum up more attention.
The stores, they've done pop-ups. They have 2 permanent stores, one in New York and one in West Hollywood and Los Angeles. I've been to both, and they are quite the experience. They're small stores, but you know what? They're not all devoted to kind of displaying their products. Each of them have a really cool space for shoppers to take selfies of themselves and post online. Now think of that. What better way to reach like-minded customers than have customers post to their friends, their followers, online, free for you. But they have been very savvy to try to connect to their consumers, to respond to what their consumers want, to create a shopping experience that their consumers like. And go to the West Hollywood store. First of all, you have to stand outside to get into the store. There's usually a queue. And then inside, there's another queue to get into the room where you can take really cool selfies. What's called the Glossier Canyon, which is this undulating canyon like in the Southwest that they've recreated. It's just very smart marketing connecting with the consumer.
So what's the point of learning about all of these different startups and their shared success? Ingrassia hopes it will show more people that entrepreneurship is more attainable than you might think. It all starts with a great idea and the determination to think differently from the other competitors in your space. To find out more about this topic and our guest, Lawrence Ingrassia, and his new book, The $1 Billion Brand Club, visit viewpointsradio.org. For more behind the scenes, check out Viewpoints Radio on Instagram and Twitter. This segment is written and produced by Amira Zaveri. I'm Gary Price.
Each day, the nation's opioid crisis takes more than 130 lives. For the first time, a person's lifetime risk of death from an accidental opioid overdose is greater than the odds of dying in a car crash. That's why the National Safety Council has assembled a comprehensive plan to address opioid misuse. The plan is endorsed by dozens of organizations, and NSC is offering it to every candidate for president. National Safety Council President and CEO Lorraine Martin.
This crisis requires a coordinated, immediate response from many groups, including governments, public health agencies, community groups, medical professionals, employers, and an educated public. Each of the actions we recommend is important, but requires the others to be successful.
The National Safety Council plan starts with strategies for prevention and education, along with prescribers, employers, data collection, insurers, law enforcement, and first responders, as well as treatment, recovery, and ending the stigma of substance use disorders. Find out more about the National Plan for Addressing Opioid Misuse at nsc.org/presidential plan.
And that's Viewpoints for this week. Viewpoints is a production of MediaTrax Communications. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram to learn more about upcoming shows. And find a library of past programs on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, and Spotify. Plus, you'll always find previous segments and more information about our guests at viewpointsradio.org. Join us again next week for another edition of Viewpoints.
Coming up on Viewpoints.
You stay focused. I mean, if you've left only an hour to do it and your phone rings, well, you don't take the call. And now this thing you don't like is only in your life for 1 hour, not an hour and a half.
The art of productivity. Then,
if I know he had dysentery 5 times, if I know at one point he was riding with a pillow under his butt, now that is exciting stuff.
What you probably didn't know about America's founding father. I'm Marty Peterson.
and I'm Gary Price. These stories in depth on your public affairs magazine, Viewpoints.